Hello everyone, it's Momo here. Today I came up with 10 questions to ask my husband about startups because he is working for a startup, so I think there might be very useful and helpful information for him to share with us. Let's take a look then. Okay, so let's start our question number 1. Can you briefly introduce the startup you are working for? What's its current status?
So I work for a company called Innovator.
Innovator?
Yes, which is a healthcare technology company. Been there for like 5-6 years.
You've been in the company for 5-6 years?
I've been in the company a little bit over 4 years. You forgot. Only.
The company I thought is like longer than 10 years.
No. It's only 6 years or so in its current form, right?
Okay.
It's growing very fast. I've raised more than $200 million, valued at a little over $1 billion, doubling every year. 800 employees. So it's a typical technology startup which is at its growth phase. That's the current status.
It's becoming a unicorn company, right? Because it joined the billionaire club. So not billionaire, $1 billion.
Yeah.
How to say that?
It got in our last round, which was a few months ago. It got valued more than $1 billion. So it's a unicorn.
Once a startup is a unicorn, you can call it successful, right? Is that how you define in the startup world?
So earlier, unicorn was a big deal. There were very few companies, maybe 10, 20 in US and 10, 20 all over the world. But today, I think US has 100 or more unicorns. China has close to 100 unicorns. India has 50 unicorns or so. So there are a lot of companies reaching this stage because of many reasons. So if a company is valued at $1 billion, it's a successful company for sure.
Oh wow! So let's see our second question. Let me see. Okay, let's not cut. Just directly go to the second question. Can you also briefly introduce the startup environment in the Bay Area, California, or in America as well as globally?
Okay, interesting question. So we do live in the startup mecca of the world, right? Means Silicon Valley is the startup capital of the world, and it's very dynamic. You probably throw a stone and it will fall on somebody entrepreneur's head here. So it's just full of engineers and everybody wants to do a startup, or if they are not an entrepreneur, then probably they were before or they want to be in the future. So I think the whole environment is pretty
the Bay
electric.
Area, right?
Yeah. Means we know so many of our friends who are doing startups or
Yeah.
are in startups, right?
Yeah.
So
So many of them.
Yeah, Devuda, Shravan, so many.
Yeah.
So the environment is as good as ever, right? Right now, it's a really good time to do a technology startup, especially healthcare technology startup. So we are in good place. But generally, it's a good time to do a startup. There's a lot of funding available. There's a lot of capital. There's a lot of cash, which is funding a lot of innovation. So it's generally a good time to do a startup. Silicon Valley, of course, is the capital of startups in the world, but things are changing. There are more companies across the globe which are coming up, right? But there are more now unicorns outside of let's say Silicon Valley or California also. So overall in the US, I think New York, Boston, Seattle have pretty good startup scene, but even small cities, right? Columbus, Ohio, UiPath, which just got listed at I think $40 billion, is from Columbus, Ohio, right? So there are a lot of companies coming up: Portland, Austin, right? Houston, Miami. There's a lot of places, but globally also there are more companies coming up outside US. China especially is a big market, and they have their own ecosystem, and there's a lot of startups there. India has a huge startup ecosystem. So after US and China, India has the biggest one, right? So both driven by domestic market, but also it's a large pool of talented engineers and English speaking population. But then Israel has a very good, very strong startup culture. Europe has, Paris is trying to do it, Berlin, UK. So overall, I think it's a good time to do startups, and they are growing across the globe.
Cool. Okay. Okay, the third question. What's your role in the growth of the startup you are in? Have you yourself grown as an individual as well? How? It's a good question, this one.
Yes. So I joined Innovator very early, right? One of the early executives, early people to join the company. So I joined as a customer success leader, VP customer success. I built out the customer success and delivery team at that time. As the company grew fast, we hired a lot more people in the US. So that's what I led. But after a couple of years, I moved to product. I'm head of products at this time. Yeah, so that's my role. So basically, all of product strategy, product design, all of that I look. So it's a very interesting role. I enjoy it, building new things, thinking about it, leading the strategy. Definitely a very exciting role. I think the second part of your question was, have you grown? Yeah, of course.
Individually.
uh, One thing about a startup is that you have to manage so many things. You grow very fast, right? So I would say a year in Innovator is like 3 years or even 4 years of experience outside, probably even more. The level of responsibility you get very quickly, and especially in the fast growing one, right? Means the size of teams, the type of people you hire, it forces you to grow up and learn much faster. And in a fast growing environment, you do things, you learn, you make mistakes, you learn again. So the cycle is much faster, and the faster the cycle, you learn more.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, the fourth question. The amount of work must be immense. How do you balance work and personal life? That's my question.
You know it better than most, right? So yeah, work is immense. Of course, we are making a video at 11:15 in the night. I'm super tired and sleepy. I've been awake from 7
Dozing
a.m.
off. This is the only time we have. So can't do it.
Work
better than
is
this.
work is a lot, yes, of course, and any expectation other than that, this is definitely not a 9 to 5 job, right? So I generally work from 7 a.m. to 11:30 in the night, right?
I know. Yeah.
So that's like 16 hours. But luckily, I get a couple of hours off throughout the day here and there. So there's a
You
lot
stay
of
home.
there's a lot of work, and I think but the good thing about a startup, and especially probably at an executive level where I am, I think you get a lot more flexibility. You can manage your time, and while I would work for 14-15 hours a day, I can take out an hour or 2 hours here and there. Personally, I don't work on weekends, right? You know that, right? So
That's something good about American working culture.
yes,
Americans, yeah.
yeah, but I think same in India. I don't know. I think in Innovator at least we don't expect. So I would shut down on Friday evening, and I would pick up again on Sunday evening. So I work on Sunday evenings, but
Yeah, you work on Sunday evening because the Indian team are waking up in India, right?
on Monday morning. Yeah, but like, even in McKinsey, I used to work on Sunday evening because you want to get ready for the week coming. But that's just a couple of hours in the evening, right? After dinner. So that's not a big deal. So yeah, work is a lot. If you're looking for a 9 to 5 job, then probably startup is not for you at any level. But if you're enjoying your work, it helps. How do I manage personal life? I think you help manage it a lot because
That's why I asked this question.
otherwise it will be very, very difficult, right? So I don't need to worry about a lot of things.
Yes.
So that is definitely helpful, though I try to make up for it, right? Yeah, it's not that I don't cook or something. I do when I get time. So that helps. That removes the guilt feeling or something like that. But I think the key thing is to just build your own schedule, right? If from morning evening 6 to 8 you want to spend time with family, you can plan it that way, right? So it's a lot of work. You need a supportive family to do this. At least, and COVID has actually helped a lot because travel has reduced. I think
Yeah.
the worst part of this work was travel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
You
spend
were,
a
yeah, you were
hundred days
always
a year.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I think in last 4 years, 3 years, I spent more than 100 days, 100 nights out of home.
More
So
than that.
I think it was close to 100 average. I was looking at it, but yeah, some weeks it would be 3, 4 nights, some couple of nights. But that is where it becomes even more difficult. That means you're not there at all. But
Yeah.
the travel has reduced because of COVID. I think I'll never go back to that kind of travel schedule
Because you
again.
guys are all happy with Zoom meetings. You
I think
both
a lot can be
both
done
sides. Yeah.
remotely than we had realized.
Yeah.
I think travel will come back a little bit, but at least for me, I don't think travel will ever be as much as I was. Like, I was all kind of, remember, platinum on this and platinum on that and 1K on United, all that. I don't care about that anymore, right? I don't want to be. So yeah, I think personal life is tough. You need a supporting family. You can build in some flexibility, but yeah, if you're looking for a 9 to 5 job, then probably this is not for you.
Okay. 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 Now the fifth question. What are the most crucial factors for a startup like Innovator to succeed? What's the most difficult one? It's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay. I came up with all the questions.
Yeah, so and I have not seen those questions before. That
Just
was
now.
so I couldn't prepare. That was. I think you wanted not to prepare, right? So, what are the most important factors? I think the most important thing for a startup to succeed is the team. Who are the people, right? So even in Innovator means the three founders means they're my friends, so I know them. It's important that the team gels together, and of course they need to be smart and they need to be flexible. I think team is most important thing because even in Innovator, the idea that they came up initially means it changed many times before we found something which was scalable. So that's one very important part. But then there are other tactical things also. Tactical things means one is you need to be able to, if you're doing a technology startup, you need to be able to hire people, right? Good engineers, right? Inspire people to join your team. You need to choose a segment of the market which is growing so that you can grow with it, right? You need to be able to raise capital. If you can't raise money, you can't grow a startup, and that's a very important skill. A lot of people I know are great engineers, have great ideas, they can't raise money. All of these are very important, and the last but probably not the least is luck, right? Luck is very important. I've seen enough people do startup to say that all of them were smart with great ideas, and only one or two succeed. You need to be at the right time, right place, with the right technology, with the right idea. So it's very important. It's not like you did $1 billion startup, that means you're a genius. Of course you are super smart and you are a genius, but there are a lot of geniuses who can't do $1 billion startup, not because that they don't have the right idea, they don't work hard. It's just because that's how it is. Luck. You're not at the right time, right place. So I think luck becomes important. So that's why a lot of founders are people who try a lot. Persistence is
You
important,
fail
right?
and then keep trying. And
Yeah.
fail.
There
A
are
lot of them.
startup people like Mark Zuckerberg who are like, hey, one thing I did and that is successful. But those are rare. Most people have tried something,
Yeah.
one or the other, many times, and then they find success.
That's a true entrepreneur spirit. Done with this question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now our sixth question. As an Indian immigrant in America, do you believe America has given you more opportunities or more challenges? do you have to face difficulties created due to your nationality? Is it a good question? Valid?
Means it's valid for a lot of people. Probably, I would say, I have faced no issues whatsoever with regards to my nationality or immigrant or anything. America is a US is a great country to be an immigrant. To be very fair, but people don't care. What they care is do you have the right idea? Are you hardworking? And I know a lot of people face discrimination, but I have not, and definitely not with regards to the startup. And there is a reason for it. If you just in Bay Area is full of Indians and successful entrepreneurs and startup people. There might be biases, but at least against Indians there is none, right? So I shouldn't claim that there is no bias, because there might be for other people that I don't know. But for personally, I've not had any issues. I have gotten more opportunities here. There's a lot more capital here. There's a lot of. It's much easier to build up a business. Definitely, I hope India catches up. But most of our operations are in India, so it's not that we are an Indian company in spirit and in reality, but we are also an American company because we are registered here. Our headquarters is here. Our market is here. So we are an Indian American company in that particular way. So in short, no issues with nationality ever. Has been in some ways it's been some positives because there's so many Indians here, and it's easy to connect, and especially with the IIT background and all that kind of stuff, it actually becomes more helpful rather than an issue.
Yeah, that's actually my next question. Let's see. The next question, the seventh question. Do you believe Indians in America, or globally speaking, are championing in making startups? Why is that?
I have not seen any data to say that Indians are particularly more entrepreneurial than others. I would actually say otherwise. A lot of Indians are very content with that stuff. But a lot of people.
Oh, phone calls.
Oh, no, what's going on?
But a lot of people, you were saying?
A lot of my friends that I know, and a lot of Indians do end up doing startups in Bay Area. And I think that is a function of two things. I think one, it's a function that there are a lot more Indians in tech field in the Bay Area, and there are more opportunities to create startups in tech. But the second one is also that I think at least in Bay Area, within the community, there is a strong interest in startups. I think there are a lot of people who want to do it. So definitely there. So you see a lot more Indians doing startups, but I don't know if it's like particularly and there is any data or something like that. I don't think so.
So you're saying mainly because we live in the Bay Area, there are a lot more Indians here. That's why in the Bay Area there are.
Yeah, more people. There are a lot more Indians in technology, and that's why you see it.
Yeah, but globally there's no stats or data showing.
Yeah, well, India is a bit. Every
Got
one
it.
out of every six.
Yeah, the population is big
Population is
anyways.
Indian, so I don't think 1 out of 6 companies are run by Indians. So till that doesn't reach, then that probably doesn't happen, right?
Yeah, you're fair. That's good.
Okay.
Okay, now the eighth question. We often hear concerns about gender inequality in the tech, especially startup world. Is it true? If it's true, have you guys been addressing this issue? Feminism question.
Many ways to answer this question, but there is definitely gender inequality in tech.
I know.
And it's a function of conscious, unconscious bias, but also a function of the talent pool availability, right? Go to Berkeley and you'll find a lot more tech grads being male rather than female, though that number has been like drastically improving. There are a lot more women. in computer science and engineering, right? But historically, that has been. So I think it's both the factors. It is changing quite a bit, and I think that's something, at least personally in my head, I have always there. Like, I don't think because of that I make any decisions. I don't try to hire a person because they are male or female. I don't think I've ever done that. Both ways, right? I'm just looking for the best candidate, but it's conscious effort that we don't have enough women. And then the way I would, at least personally, I would try to address is that during the recruitment phase, we would try to source more candidates who are women, and consciously reach out to a lot more people and try to see if we can find, right? Of course, in the startup environment, you don't have the luxury that a lot of big companies have, where they can have this huge diversity initiatives and large group of people advising and all that kind of stuff. We just try to get by very quickly, right? So, but I think as a company becomes bigger, their responsibility increases, and I agree with the fact that there should be some conscious effort to increase gender diversity in tech, and while the thought and consciousness should be remaining, should start from the small company like Innovator, where the companies try, but I think a lot of things can be done by much bigger companies, Google, Facebook, and others, to address this.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. The next question. Not all startups are gonna succeed. Actually, failure is the usual norm in the startup world. Do you encourage young people to take risks no matter what? If that's true, what's your suggestion on dealing with failure?
Yeah, I think this connects with the initial one, that question that I answered on how startups succeed, right? Because luck is an important factor. Smartest people with the best teams don't succeed, and that's fine. Happens all the time. I don't think anybody should get worried about it. I think you should definitely go do a startup if you want to. Because I myself tried one, right? And it failed when I was a grad
I
student.
tried many, right?
Yeah,
Not the only one.
And that's completely fine. I think you learn a lot. It gives you experience, and as a executive who is hiring, I actually value this experience a lot. And I've seen, especially in Silicon Valley, this experience is valued a lot. If somebody did a startup and they failed, I think we understand that they took a decision and they have that self motivation. So for me, it's a positive. So if you fail, that's fine. Go find some other company to work for. Work for a smaller company like Innovator, which has been funded, but it's still small, right? Work for a big company to learn more. The point here is that most startups will fail, right? Just by the law of averages, right? Most startups are gonna fail, and that's completely fine. It doesn't show anything about anything other than the fact that it just didn't work out. And in my book, I think that's always a positive experience. The only thing I would suggest is time box yourself. Don't spend years and years on an idea which is not going to work. And I've seen that happen way too many times too. If a startup doesn't generate revenue after 2 years of you working,
2 years,
and you have not gotten a customer, probably not a good idea. Okay. At least if you have not gotten any traction on it, right? So go do something and then come back to it again. So point here is that rapid iteration is important. Your ability to understand when something is not working is a very, very important characteristic. You need to know, hey, this is not working, let me move this, do something else. That's very important.
Cool. Okay, our last question. Let me see. Do you have any more words or advice to say to the people who are ambitious to make their startup a name in the world? That's my style of question.
Startup and name in the world. You should be ambitious, Lindsay. But I think the only reason somebody should do startup is because they want to do it, right? If you're doing a startup thinking that you'll become rich because of it, that's probably not a good way, and you'll probably not succeed.
Yeah.
And it takes time. Even for a successful startup, it takes years and years and years before you actually have enough cash to call yourself rich, right? And most people don't, right? And while you're doing a startup, you're not earning money, so there is an opportunity cost to it. You could have worked somewhere and earned money, right? So
Yeah.
the point here is that always go for the right reason, right? Hey, I really want to like this field, or I want to do something, or I want to build something new, or I want to do a startup, create something. So I think those things are very, very important. So, but yeah, same suggestions are there, right? Focus on getting a team. Right team is absolutely important. Focus on building a minimum viable product, right? Hey, what's the minimum that I can build and go and sell in the market? Selling is a very important part. If you can get a customer who is willing to pay some money for it, that means your idea has value. It's a capitalistic world. If nobody is willing to pay dollars or their time on it, that means the idea has very little value. So these things are very important. Being able to understand when something is not working and being able to leave that and try something new is very important. These are important traits if you want to do a successful startup.
Cool, that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. To fall asleep. Okay, bye everyone. See you next video.